6 razões para morar em São Paulo. Isso vindo de um gringo. Vamos ver aqui um gringo nos contando quais são as 6 razões pelo qual ele moraria em São Paulo. Então, se vocês gostarem desse vídeo, já sabem, deixem o like, se inscrevam no canal, ative o sino das notificações para receber todos os nossos próximos vídeos e fazer parte dessa incrível família. Vamos ver isso.
Gostosos, tudo bem? Or if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Sharky and I bring out videos all the time. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, feel free to check them out. But today, we're going to be doing a special video. As you probably saw by the title, we are going to go through the top 6 reasons why you should live in São Paulo. This could be for the foreigners who, like me, could want to come and live here. So, as you guys know, I've lived here for about 2 years in total, a little bit over. I would like to say that I knew
2 anos morando em São Paulo, então eu acho que ele já deve ter observado algumas razões para poder morar em São Paulo, né? Quer dizer, as razões que fizeram ele ficar tanto tempo em São Paulo.
Pretty well, you know, I know the ins and outs. I know more than most foreigners would. I feel as if I'm in a position to give you the tea when it comes to living here in Brazil, or living here in São Paulo more specifically, and some reasons as to why. Now this video is based off my personal opinion and my personal experience. I've broken down the topics into 6 individuals, just so that I can spam through them so that you guys get to know Brazil a little bit better. Or São Paulo, I keep saying Brazil, but São Paulo specifically. Alright guys, so let's jump into the first topic, the nightlife. Now, I've mentioned this in a video before about what I love about Brazil, so I feel as if there's no possible way I could keep it out. And if you're a lover of going out, of a nighttime, drinking, going to clubs, partying, whatever, I feel as if this is going to be very valuable to you. In São Paulo, the parties go too late. However, they also start late. So instead of being expected to, you know, pre-drink around 6 to go out at around 9 or 10 o'clock, you will plan to leave for the club at around 11 or 12 o'clock at night, which means that the party will go to typically 7 o'clock in the morning, typically. Some parties go later, some parties go before, but everything happens and operates later. I remember one of the first big nightclubs I ever went to here. I thought pre-drinking was going to start at around 6 or 7, just like it does in Australia. However, I was very, very, very wrong. Instead, everybody kind of, you know, buys their drinks and they're pretty much all ready to have drinks at someone's house, like in a scanter, at around like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then they plan to head out between 11 and 1. Also, here in Brazil, the same as everywhere else, but it's very, very common here, is there is a very big difference between parties and clubs. Clubs are just like any nightclub, right? It's always there, it's always kind of the same thing. And then we have parties, kind of just specific events that get held in a space or a nightclub or a house. This is very, very common here. It's very, very common that I go to a party and this party is being held in a house that has been hired, or a rooftop that has been hired. These spaces specifically aren't clubs. This not only creates variety, but if there are no parties that you're interested in on the night, you can always drop back to your favorite nightclub that'll always be open. Another part about the nightlife is that the drinks are sold all night. Drinks will be served all night as long as there are drinks available to be sold. So therefore, unlike Australia when you kind of have to rush to the club just so you know you can buy drinks before lockout, you know, here in Brazil you can buy drinks all night. And one more point about the nightlife as well is that Brazilian people love to have fun. Despite anything else, they love to have fun. Therefore, there are many parties, like more than what you could imagine. There are many parties, and every single party, of course, has their own genre of music they play, which is, of course, split into, you know, the cultural music that Brazil listens to. So there could be, you know, funk music, pop, electronic. So going to these parties is pretty much something that everybody does. And it honestly makes the nightlife one of a kind.
Caraca, mas também ele tinha dito que em alguns lugares do mundo, né, que não é o Brasil, muitas festas começam às 6, 7 da tarde. Cara, eu acho que festa que começa às 6, 7 da tarde só pode ser festa de criança. Porque no Brasil, cara, começa realmente lá mais tarde, porque as pessoas normalmente passam a noite toda, cara. Algumas pessoas, não todos, né? As pessoas que gostam de passar assim, as pessoas que gostam de sair, né, de noite, então preferem passar tipo, a noite toda e voltam na maior parte das vezes nas manhãs, né, para casa. E realmente uma coisa que ele falou que eu também assino embaixo é que os brasileiros gostam de se divertir. A gente já falou aqui no canal várias vezes, os brasileiros gostam de se divertir, apesar de tudo, apesar de todos os problemas que tiverem, assim, diversão é uma coisa que você não vai tirar dos brasileiros, cara. Isso é muito incrível. Tem sempre um jeito de ser feliz, um jeito de andar sempre alegre, um jeito de, sei lá, esparecer a cabeça para não pensar tanto nos problemas e assim. Isso é muito bom. Vamos ver o próximo.
It is the people. Now, if you don't know anything about Brazilian culture, I will tell you now, something that you will realize almost straight away is that they are an extremely inclusive culture. They are very passionate about introducing you to their life. If you are a gringo or a foreigner, it's very, very, very common that Brazilians will take an interest in you. They will want to kind of ask you how your experience is. They'll want to know what you like, what you dislike, where have you been. It's almost like they're fascinated to see your perception of their country. I find a lot that Brazilians here in São Paulo, they often try to do what they can to increase my experience or to enhance my experience here in Brazil. If there's something that I don't know, like there's a spot or a party or some kind of food, they will always find a way to kind of introduce me to this, whether they'll be like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Let's go to here. Oh, you haven't been to this bar? Let's go to here. We want to show you, we want you to try some of the things that we're really accustomed to. This is something that's really beautiful about their culture and unique, I think. I feel as if I can't finish this topic about people unless I mention one of the main things, which is a lot of them are very sexy. Of course, all of these other points come before, but that's just something to top it off. Topic number...
Verdade, mano, verdade. Quando você comenta com um brasileiro, por exemplo, eu queria tanto conhecer lugar X, ou meu desejo é conhecer lugar Y, um dia ele vai te convidar para aquele lugar. Acredite, se você for comentar isso em frente de um brasileiro que você tem desejo de conhecer algum lugar, no dia que ele tiver tempo, acredite que ele vai te convidar para você conhecer aquele lugar. Então, o povo brasileiro tem muito disso. Você quer conhecer aquele lugar? Eu vou te mostrar. Aí no final eles sempre perguntam, e aí, gostou? O que você achou? E coisa do tipo. Tipo, eles querem ver o que você achou daquele lugar a partir do teu ponto de vista, porque eles já sabem como é aquele lugar, mas querem ver do ponto de vista de uma outra pessoa que não é brasileira. Então é muito legal.
For the culture. Now, I could probably talk all day about the culture. However, what I'm going to do instead is talk about some of the events that they have and some of the parades and things like that that happen here in São Paulo. So as a lot of the Brazilians know, Brazil has its fair share of music festivals. Now, there are music festivals for every single genre, so I can't even begin to name each specific one. Probably the biggest one here, correct me if I'm wrong, would be Rock in Rio. I attended Rock in Rio last year. It was amazing. They have a lot of Brazilian artists, but they also have a lot of Western artists as well. So they have a lot of festivals. These include, things like Tomorrowland, Lollapalooza, the list goes on. They also have a festival here that happens in June. It's called Festa Junina. It's kind of like a celebration of saints. So there's just a lot of traditional music. I've been to one of the festivals before, or maybe a few times actually. And they kind of just celebrate this with their traditional foods, things that are very typical here. Carnival. Now, Carnival is known worldwide. This is no news to anyone who's watching this. However, Carnival is a very special time and it goes for about a week and a half, I think. I've been to 2 carnivals since I arrived here in Brazil. And it is a... You have a lot of Brazilians that like Carnival just because it's a bunch of public holidays. However, the majority of the Brazilians, they love it because it's a kind of a time for them to go out, get messy, get on the streets, dance to their favorite music, etc, etc. And as I said about the nightlife before, the variety is huge. There's a huge variety of blocos. If you don't know what a bloco is, it's kind of like a truck that drives in the street and everyone dances behind it and it plays a genre of music. I've only ever been to São Paulo Carnival. I know that I need to go to Rio. I think that'll be where I go next year. But I also want to go to Salvador as well. However, I know that there is carnival down south as well, like Florianopolis. I know that there's everywhere else. Also, I think it's important to add that in Brazil as a whole, they have the biggest colonization of Japanese people outside of Japan. And so there are a lot of Japanese people here, and also a big part of Japanese culture is infused in Brazilian culture as well. This is something I couldn't miss, because where there is Brazilian cuisine and everything like that, there is also a huge amount of Japanese cuisine as well. And last of all, the Pride Festival. I went last year and it is enormous. The Pride Festival here in Brazil, or the Pride Festival here, the Pride March here in São Paulo, is the biggest in South America, in the whole continent.
Caraca, falando da cultura brasileira, eu notei que os brasileiros são um dos únicos povos que consomem bastante da sua cultura, principalmente as músicas. Por exemplo, a gente viu no final do ano passado que saiu a lista dos artistas mais ouvidos no Spotify, né? E toda a América Latina tinha um único artista mais ouvido. Toda a América Latina, exceto o Brasil. O artista mais ouvido no Brasil era um cantor brasileiro, enquanto no resto da América Latina era um cantor que era de um desses países. Mas toda a América Latina ouviu ele. Quer dizer que até países que não eram um país daquele cantor ouviram ele. Já no Brasil foi diferente. O cantor mais ouvido no Brasil foi um cantor brasileiro. Então dá para ver que os brasileiros valorizam e consomem muito da sua própria cultura. Porque até é normal países como Moçambique, Angola e Portugal, por exemplo, um cantor que está na lista dos mais ouvidos de Portugal ser o mais ouvido de Moçambique, ser o mais ouvido também de Angola, mas dificilmente vai ser o mais ouvido no Brasil. Tipo, dificilmente esse artista vai estar na lista dos mais ouvidos de Angola, tanto que cantores angolanos e moçambicanos, quando estão assim no auge da fama, é muito normal serem chamados para atuar em Portugal, mas dificilmente vão ser chamados para atuar no Brasil, né? Por causa da língua, sei lá, por ser português, porque como a gente viu o exemplo da América Latina, todos esses países aí falam espanhol, então é normal que um cantor seja o mais ouvido desses países, um cantor, né? Porque falam a mesma língua. Já na língua portuguesa não funciona muito assim com o Brasil. E, por exemplo, a gente viu até um vídeo no TikTok de uma portuguesa no Rio de Janeiro perguntando para os brasileiros se conheciam, quer dizer, perguntando para os brasileiros qual era a personalidade portuguesa favorita, né, dos brasileiros. E os brasileiros não conseguiam mencionar uma única celebridade portuguesa, tipo, mal conheciam as celebridades portuguesas. Eu acho que o único mais conhecido em si do Brasil, que os brasileiros sabem que é português, é o Cristiano Ronaldo, por ser um jogador muito conhecido. Mas acredito eu que se aquela mesma moça estivesse em Moçambique ou Angola e perguntasse um cantor português ou uma celebridade portuguesa, com certeza muitos diriam. Mesmo, por exemplo, tem vários humoristas que são bastante conhecidos, que é bastante conhecido em Moçambique, é bastante conhecido em Angola, é bastante conhecido em Portugal, que se você chegar em Portugal e perguntar, por exemplo, vou dar exemplo de um aqui, se você chegar em Portugal e perguntar quem é Gilmário Vemba, eu acho que muitas pessoas podem saber quem é Gilmário Vemba. Em Angola também, porque ele é angolano. Em Moçambique também. Mas vir para o Brasil e perguntar quem é Gilmário Vemba, muito pouca gente vai saber. Talvez agora algumas pessoas saibam, porque ele até participou do podcast, Flow Podcast, né? Mas é mais ou menos sobre isso. Os brasileiros valorizam bastante da sua cultura, que os únicos cantores que eles mais ouvem, tirando as suas próprias músicas, são os cantores norte-americanos. Eu acho que os brasileiros também ouvem bastante os cantores norte-americanos. E outra coisa que ele tinha comentado aqui, eu acho que é sobre a verba. Tipo, o governo brasileiro, tipo, eles podem usar da verba do governo para poder chamar cantores de fora para poderem atuar no Brasil. Eu fiquei tipo, como assim? Até agora eu achava que quem chamava os cantores os únicos que chamavam os cantores internacionais para o Brasil eram tipo empresas privadas, né? Promotores privados que promovem esses eventos, mas eu descobri que o governo brasileiro tem uma verba para a cultura que podem usar dessa mesma verba para poder chamar cantores, quer dizer, para poder promover shows aqui no Brasil. Então é algo que eu fiquei tipo meio surpreso.
And this is the food and drinking. You know I've mentioned so many times that the food here is phenomenal, and I stand by that, but you just need to know how phenomenal. Every single state in Brazil has a food that's almost specific to that state. Everything here is delicious. When I came here, I was blown away with the amount of food that they consume. Meal deals. So with every single meal there is rice and beans. With everything you eat, pretty much. Rice, beans, and a protein of some sort, so just meat. It's huge, but like I said, it's healthy food, you know? Make sure that you ask some Brazilians to have some traditional food. They'll help you out, and they'll bring you everything that you should try whilst you're here. Now, Brazil has its own range of beverages as well. Here they have the classic caipirinha. Normally what's in that is like fruit and ice and sugar and stuff. They all mix it up. It tastes brilliant. Typically, you can get a caipirinha out with pretty much every single fruit that you can think of. They'll do mixes or they'll do specific ones. The most common is lemon. They're beautiful as well. Try them when you're here. Something that they'll probably kill me for saying, but they have something called catuaba. It's pretty much just like a really sweet cordial that's alcoholic, and people get wasted from that. It tastes okay. But it's very popular for me at places like big parties like festivals, or for things like Carnival. Super popular. Opportunity.
Cara, se ele não falasse da comida brasileira, cara, meu Deus. Porque em São Paulo também tem uma culinária muito boa, principalmente por causa da mistura, né, que existe em São Paulo. Então é uma variedade de comidas que você vai encontrar lá, a partir de japoneses, comida italiana, variedade de comida que você vai encontrar em São Paulo, mano. Eu acho que com o tempo vão conseguir mesclar muito bem isso e vai ser um estilo de comida que você só vai comer estando em São Paulo.
Now, São Paulo specifically is a business-orientated city. During the week, it's all work, and then on the weekends is when they kind of let loose. Now, the opportunity that foreigners can have here, if you can kind of adapt yourself with the language, your opportunities are endless, you know? You can be a professional in your field anywhere. There are millions and millions of jobs. If you would want to come to Brazil and not work in your profession, or if you would like to do something else, English teaching is something that you can consider. Brazilians often pay for, Skype lessons, or if they pay for, just a conversation in person, XYZ, it's all available, and it's money for you to live here for however long you want. And also, opportunity comes without saying Portuguese. It's always best to know a little bit, especially if you're coming here, even to just travel and have a look around. I would recommend learning just some simple phrases, easy to find on things like Duolingo or on the internet.
O Duolingo salvando muita gente. Realmente no Brasil tem muitas oportunidades, cara, principalmente na internet, porque o acesso à internet, por exemplo, comparado a Moçambique, que é o lugar onde eu saí, que é o país onde eu saí, né? O Brasil está anos à frente quanto ao mercado de internet, assim, está anos à frente.
And city activities. Now, there are millions and millions of things to do here in São Paulo. You can go to things like markets. There's a huge market here called Mercado Municipal. Now, this market sells tons and tons of food, fresh food. The fruit there is the best I've ever tasted, and you can have it here with beer, etc., etc. It's just phenomenal. I would highly recommend going there. Their sandwiches are to die for. A big thing here is parks. Now, there are loads. We have things like there are sunset parks where a lot of people go and watch the sun go down. The most popular one here, I think, is Ibirapuera. It's huge, it's green, it's massive, and you can hire bikes to drive around. On weekends, it's always packed. Now, there are other parks here like Vila Logos and Acunação, I think another one's called. Anyway, there's millions of them and they're beautiful. Another thing I need to mention here is that there are a lot of galleries and there are a lot of museums. There are museums like MASP, which you'll see. I'll put up some pictures. There are other museums like Pinacoteca, and there's another one called MAM. They look amazing. I've been to a lot of them. You know, it really kind of shows their culture and then shows other things, like they have art festivals, etc, etc, etc. It's very, very, it's awesome. Paulista Avenue in São Paulo is one of the main attractions here. If you ever see someone who's been to São Paulo, you will probably see a picture of them on this avenue at some stage. On a Sunday, the whole thing is kind of shut off and people walk and ride their bikes. It's a very social thing to do with you and your friends. A place called Batman Alley. It's Batman. And this is kind of like a place where you can look at all of the artwork that's like street graffiti, that kind of thing. It's amazing. I'll put some pictures up. I've been there. It's beautiful. You should definitely check it out when you're here. Now, I can talk about São Paulo and the things that you can do here forever. And I know that I've missed many things, but I'm just telling you from my personal experience the things that I love the most about Brazil and about São Paulo specifically. If you're thinking about living here, there's so much to do here, as I just mentioned to you then. Also, if you're watching this video and you live here, you're Brazilian, please leave a comment down below. Tell me if you like this video, and also add some things that I might have forgotten, things that the gringos would love to read. Write it in Portuguese even. I'm sure that they would love to check it out. Also, please be sure to like and subscribe, ring the notification bell. Now, I bring out videos like this all the time. Check out other videos on my channel as well. I love to hear from you, so follow me on all my socials that you can find in the description down below. And as always, gente, muito obrigado for being here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in a few days' time. Muito obrigado. Tchau.
Eu diria sobre essa última parte que realmente São Paulo tem muita coisa para fazer, principalmente aquilo que eu diria que são coisas mais modernas para fazer, coisas da cidade, coisas que você normalmente faria na cidade, né? Então São Paulo tem demais, por exemplo, museus, teatros, cinema, então essas coisas São Paulo tem demais, cara. Então é um lugar muito legal realmente para se morar. Eu acho que a maior parte das pessoas só se afastam de São Paulo pelo custo de vida, mas tirando isso, São Paulo é um lugar muito legal para morar, muito legal mesmo. E espero que tenham gostado do vídeo. Não esqueçam de deixar o like, se inscrever no canal, ativar o sininho das notificações para receber todos os nossos próximos vídeos e fazer parte dessa incrível família. Até o próximo vídeo. Fui!